Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover up to 20 titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and up to 20 more from DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class, and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. This week's episode focuses on titles released between January 7th and the 13th of 2022. We've got lots of 5th edition content, including adventures, monsters, spells, races, and more, so stay tuned all the way to the end so you don't miss a thing. First up, we have 100 Things to See, Find, and Hear in a Forest by Azucale Games. It's $1.25 for 11 pages. It says it's compatible with Black Spear, but I feel like after looking at it, it would work with 5th edition or other OSR games. Let's take a look at the description. It says characters may at some point be traveling through wooded areas, whether these be the comparatively tame woods of civilization or the more dangerous wildwood of the uninhabited regions. Rather than simply glossing over these travels, this list provides 100 different encounters that can be used to make travel more interesting. Some of the encounters have the potential to injure characters or animals, whilst others may appear dangerous or more than they seem to be, yet not pose any hazard unless the game master decides otherwise. So that the encounters are suitable, replace references to flora and fauna with ones appropriate to the region being traveled if needed. And then they've got some samples in here and a video on how to interact with layers in your PDF. So let's take a look inside. You get to see one of those pages, which has quite a few of the 100 things to see and find. And as you can see, there's some mechanics in this first top one, but most of them, and there's some here in the digging, but most of them are mechanics free. So I think you can still use them. And maybe the mechanics will transfer just fine to 5th edition. So looking here, we've got a large branch has fallen from a tree, partly blocking the way. The end of the tree limb is splintered and broken where it was connected to the tree. So it's just a little detail, right? It doesn't necessarily mean anything's going to happen. The party might question whether it means something, whether it's a trap, there's bandits hiding behind it or whatever. But it just gives you some ambiance. And then down here we've got chirping. A chirping is heard in the underbrush, suggestive of crickets or cicadas. The chirping stops if approached, only to start up again in another location when the characters move away. So that's very realistic, right? That's when you're hunting for a cricket that's in your house. It seems like you get close to it and it stops, right? So very, very realistic in terms of what you would expect. So let me scroll over and just look at one of the ones with the mechanics here. So we can see how it would work here. Digging. Near several trees there are holes that have recently been dug into the ground. The holes are empty, but something may have been removed from them. An easy lore nature skill roll will reveal that holes were the result of digging for truffles. An easy survival forest skill roll, which can be done only once, will result in a character finding 1d6 truffles worth 0.1 each. So a little bit of conversion. You'd have to use like the nature check in D&D or the survival check, and then the value of the truffles would be different, but that wouldn't be that hard to convert, because I mean literally the names of the checks you need are here, and it's just a currency conversion. So very cool. I like it. Lots of ambiance. If you've got any kind of wilderness stuff going on and you want to really give it that verisimilitude, and you maybe aren't feeling like coming up with all the descriptions yourself, this could be 100 possible things that you could say instead of having to make something up. So nice. Or you could use it as inspiration, right? You could read through it and come up with your own little things to say. as well. So check it out in the links below under 100 Things to Find, See, and Hear in a Forest. Next we have 5th edition adventure, The Sword of Rami. And it's $6.99 from Troll Lord Games. And it's 23 pages. And it looks like it doesn't, even though it's 5th edition, it doesn't say that here, Troll Lord. So if you guys are watching, you might want to update that. I think it was a conversion from Castles and Crusades, so maybe that's why it still says that. But I would get that updated so it says it up here and people can find it more easily, because it looks really cool. I love the cover. This art is fun with this crocodile sort of looming, or not even a crocodile. It looks like a, I don't know what that is. It could be a werecroc. I don't know. Coming after this drow-looking character here. So cool. It says, for generations, the kings of the small realm of Inalu have held the Sword of Rami as a symbol of their people. It is brought forth only when a new king is crowned. But the unthinkable has happened. While transporting the sword through the Fushdan bottoms, a group of stalwart heroes were ambushed by a contingent of lizard folk, so that's what they are, led by a female twilight elf. Okay, so that's a twilight elf. Quickly overcome, the heroes were left for dead and the sword taken. This is where our story begins, as the heroes awaken, tending their wounds, discussing what to do next. The fate of the kingdom lies in their hands, and what an evil person might do with the sword is unthinkable. Their duty is clear. So, and this is for 4 to 6 mid-level characters. But again, I love this art, and now we know these are lizard folk with this twilight elf, so that's fun. And $6.99 for the PDF. Let's look inside. So you get to see 6 of the pages, and you've got quite a bit you can see. You can find out about the twilight elves, the lizard folk village, encounters in the Twilight Woods. So they're giving you encounter tables, which is always helpful. Even here, there's some encounters in the Valley of the Lizard Folk. So yeah, lots of stuff. I mean, you could use this setting again later on, but let's zoom in and read about this Lizard Folk village. First, we have to come up here, and then we can zoom in. All right. So it says, it's well after dark by the time you come upon a shallow valley in the swamps, at the base of which resides a hut village with a number of campfires burning. There are approximately 20 huts, haphazardly arranged in a loose circle. At the center, one hut is clearly larger than the others, and arranged with a sort of porch overhang at the front. In the village, lizard folk bustle about, going about their evening business, though there is little you'd call typical about their activities. Indeed, there certainly seems to be some activity of importance going on. The village appears to be sparsely populated, where you'd normally expect 50 or more lizard folk in a village this size. Here you see only about a dozen, and those that are left seem to be arming for a forthcoming conflict. So yeah, it kind of sets the stage. You've got this lizard folk village, you've got people doing their thing, but then they're also getting ready for a conflict. So it gives a little mystery to you, which I like. So yeah, I like the lizard folk. I think there's a lot of potential there, and let's see if we can zoom back out and then find a bit that we can read maybe about the Twilight Elves, or yeah, let's read here about the Twilight Elves. So we have to zoom in here and then go down here to scroll over, scroll back up. All right, so the Twilight Elves. The heroes track the lizard folk through the bottoms for the better part of a day, and as the thin rays of the sun coming through the trees turn reddish-orange, they come to a clearing. Characters with a passive perception of 15 or better will note the unnatural movement of shadows around them in time to shout a warning, while other PCs will be caught completely off guard. Indeed, the shadows all around the characters begin to undulate and move and coalesce into humanoid forms, then reveal themselves as cloak-like garments surrounding elves with deep blue skin and piercing golden eyes. They are armed with crossbows and wicked-looking needle-thin swords, knives, and they have the PC surrounded. So a very cool little encounter about to happen, and it fits nicely with the cover, which is awesome. So yeah, I think this looks like a lot of fun, a lot of detail, a lot of reusability in these villages and locations. So check it out in the links below under 5th edition Sword of Rami. Give it a click. Next, we've got Anime 5e Pocket Edition with this fun anime cover going on. It's $12.49 for the PDF. It's from �α𝙗 Publishing Company. I think it's �α𝙗 Publishing Company, and author Mark McKinnon. And it's 384 pages, so quite a few pages. It says, in the myriad realms of imagination, there are many dungeons to explore, dragons to tame, and paths to find. Anime 5e helps you unlock the realms of fantasy to experience them all. Welcome to Anime 5e, the fantasy role-playing game for all your anime and manga adventures, which builds upon the 5th edition rules of Dungeons & Dragons. The standalone RPG Pocket Edition brings a point-based balance to the standard 5th edition offerings, and then layers a wide selection of new races, classes, skills, features, powers, game mechanics, and combat options on top of it. Anime 5e is the beginning of a journey, so hold on tight as we welcome you to your next great fantasy adventure. And it's basically a smaller portable edition of the full book. And I mean, if smaller is 384 pages, then the full book must be a lot more parts, a lot more pages, a lot more things going on. So I think that's cool, because I mean, this could be a good entry point for you to try it without having to buy the full edition. They've released a bunch of other things this week, various print and play paper miniatures, scenarios, etc. So you can check those out over here as well. And of course, I believe somewhere on here is the full edition. And if you go to the details tab and click on 𝙬𝙗𝙤 or click on them over here, you're going to get to see all the titles that they've released. So let's take a look inside. They've got the table contents with the basics, races, classes, attributes, action, adventuring items, NPCs. So a lot of good stuff, especially for players in here. It looks like a lot of races, everything from Archfiend all the way down to Slime. That's an interesting one. And then classes, everything from Adventurer all the way to Warder. And yeah, that looks cool. So scrolling through, you're getting kind of some information on the game itself, how they set up the attributes, all the basics, session 0. So let's see if we can find a little section worth reading here. Let's see. Let's talk about anime up here. So it says anime is the accepted term for animation from Japan. It has garnered much more respect in its native country than North American cartoons have in Canada and the United States. One reason for the popularity of anime is its diverse subject matter ranging from fantasy and science fiction to romantic comedy and horror. While North American cartoons tend to be written for younger audiences, with a few exceptions, anime includes many shows aimed explicitly at teenagers or older viewers. This encourages more sophisticated storylines and a wider array of genres. Another factor in the appeal of anime is the ongoing multi-episode story arcs that are a common feature of many live-action TV dramas. So that's true. There is a diversity of genres in anime, and I always tell people that talk about anime, they'll say anime is a genre, and I'm like, no, it's not really. It's a style, it's a medium. It's if you think of anime almost like a category like TV show or movie, that's kind of what it is, because within anime there are all these genres, everything from horror to romantic comedy, as they said here in the book. And so when you stop thinking of it as it's just cartoons, it's just children's programming or whatever, then you can see that it kind of is another category or another medium as opposed to a genre. So anyway, never thought we'd talk about anime on this show, but cool to do. I have a lot of shows that I like that are anime. Anyway, this looks fun. It looks like a nice little supplement that you can dive into and get your character ready to have some anime 5th edition fun. And of course, there's anime style art in here as well, and that's always enjoyable. So I think you should look for it in the video description links under Anime 5e and give it a click. Next, we have Atera Redux Zine Issue 1 Mounts, a collection of homebrewed mounts for 5th edition Fate and Mazes, and it includes the stats for all of those different games. It's $1 for 18 pages. And if we look at the description here, it says the Mounts issue, the first issue of an ongoing zine, which will feature homebrew mounts, monsters, magical items, etc. Each mount in this issue has its own illustration, personalized saddle type, and stats for 5th edition Fate and Mazes. So very cool. Let's take a look inside. So you can see it's got the artwork for this Portal Possum, and it has all the D&D stuff here, you know, the dark vision, the stealth, passive perception, size chart, saddle type, and then you've got fate and mazes stats in their own little boxes. So it's not, you know, sometimes when you get a multi-system stat block, it's really difficult to read because they kind of commingle all of the different systems. But I like how this is basically all the 5e stuff, and then you've got the two other systems down here. So they're kind of isolated and not in your face when you're trying to read. So that's cool. And you can see they've got the giant isopod. Down here is another one with I love how they have the little images with the saddle, so you can kind of see how the saddle's going to work, and all the stats. So very, very cool. All kinds of different ones. Baby Griffin. It's a saddle type and size chart, and it's a medium, so it can probably only handle small, tiny passengers. But that's cool. You could have a small, you know, character that's going to ride that. So really fun. I like it. It's only $1. And it's in the video description links under Atera Redux. Check it out. Next, we have Bolarius for 5th edition from Bogus Cheesecake. It's $15.99 for 117 pages. Author Thomas Vorderbruggen. And it is just cool looking with this cover. I love this little glyph or whatever it is over this. It looks like a sky whale of some kind. We'll see. It says, Bolarius, a land of endless steppes, open nature, and peaceful solemnity. Airships travel the open clouds high above, settlements scattered across the land, delivering letters and goods to preserve communication between the sparse towns and cities. Large swaths of sheep roam the open pastures, washed over by gentle shepherds and a relaxing peace. Aged individuals settle down at the lake for a relaxing bout of fishing following a hard day's work in the field. Bolarius is a world of growth and stagnation, of forgotten futures and re-explored pasts, of peaceful life and peaceful death. Relaxing, idyllic, and gentle, Bolarius is punctuated by the rewards of simple labor, the celebrations of mundane beauty, and the acceptance of a coming end. Bolarius is a world unlike any other. Creatures fly over endless pastures, airships carry cargo between solitary settlements over fields of sheep and grain. Whalers hunt in search of the elusive sky whales. The soft, quiet, post-apocalyptic world of Bolarius sees the final years of civilization close out in a realm of peace and simple existence. So it's a setting guide containing lore, systems, new backgrounds, downtime activities, items, and creatures all set within that world. And it's got 2 new backgrounds, 15 settlements, 11 resources to buy and sell, customizable frigates and whaleboats, a map, 35 new creatures, 17 new items, etc. So very packed full of stuff, it looks like. And I love this artwork. And as I said, I think it's Sky Whale, and it was. So very cool. So they have a whole section here on sky whaling with some fun artwork, the whaler's life. You get to see 8 pages in this preview, the philosophy of the whaler, players as whalers, basics, sky whales, hunting them, tracking them, flensing and cleaning, ambergris, oil, bones of the beast, rendering whale oil. So this is like a significant amount of text devoted to the sky whaling, which is nice because a lot of times people, I think, feel pressured to cut down the lore and not have all that. But with digital, you can really have as many pages as you need to have, and people can always just skim and just read the pieces they want and move on. They don't have to read it beginning to end. But I like that there's so much here. So there's probably going to be a lot of depth on all the sections, which can be helpful. So let's read a little bit about the whaler's life here. So it says, for much of a whaler's life aboard their ship, days are spent scrubbing hulls, moving inventory, and maintaining the giant vessel, keeping them all precariously afloat 10,000 feet off the ground. However, almost equally as much time is spent lounging, waiting for the brief periods of action when a whale is located and the real job begins. Life for a whaler is one of isolation and boredom, and each whaler compensates for this time in their own personal way. In order to keep one's mind sharp and stave off the mental deficits of sky sickness, hobbies and personal endeavors are well encouraged by many seafaring or skyfaring crews. Dancing, singing, musical instruments, and copious amounts of drinking are all commonly enjoyed activities when work has ended and food has been shared. Driving a sense of excitement and joy into evening keeps the journey from wearing on the soul, and very few sailors have much reason to pass up such nightly activities. So, fun. Sounds like it's good, reasonable description of what a sky whaler would experience. And let's take a look just for a second at players as whalers. It says whalers come from all walks of life, each sharing their unique personal perspective as they explore new frontiers in search of the elusive sky whales. Characters of any ancestry, class, or background should be acceptable within the whaling profession. Characters may wish to not prescribe to whaler superstition, or they may wish to be part of a crew that practices different ways of life. Each whaling frigate and crew is wholly unique, and the ramshackle nature of this found family means the multicultural collection of individuals is all but expected. As such, any theology, religion, or philosophy can be present upon the airships of Bolarius, although some crew may respond negatively to those who disrespect the sky whales themselves. So, cool little details here about how it would be as a player to experience it. And that's just the beginning. I mean, we're just finding out about the sky whales. There's all these other background settlements, etc. in this book, and it's all for 5th edition. So check it out in the links below under Bolarius and give it a click. Next we have DI1, Castle Agremoth in the Wailing Wood, and it's by Sean Morris and Galfinor Art. It is $7.92 for 28 pages. And it's for 5th edition. It says it's an introductory adventure for 3 to 6 first-level characters. The village of exile is starving and desperate. Can your heroic characters save their village from ruin by braving the terrors of Castle Agremoth and plundering its riches? It's the first in the Dragon Isles series of adventures and can also be used as a standalone introduction to the game or as a unique location within your own campaign. It's 28 pages with original black and white illustrations and detailed maps and descriptions of the castle and surrounding environs. Very cool. So here's the interior. You've got kind of all the information, the abbreviated monster stats, and then random items, maps, keys to the maps, etc. And then kind of some notes on leaving the area, it looks like. So, and I love that it's got that kind of 1st edition font look. It's one of my favorite looks of D&D. So really enjoy that. And you've got some additional story hooks down here. So let's see what we can zoom in and read for you. First, let me scroll up and zoom in. And then we'll scroll down and get to the stuff that we can read here. So let's read some of the story hooks. Some alternate story hooks include terrible expansion. The castle's current ruler, Lord Felrath the White, has been sending out undead raiding parties to attack the farmsteads and villages at the edges of the forest. Seeking to expand his territory, the party is hired by the frightened villagers or directed by the Baron to end the threat. Family heirloom. One of the party is a descendant of the Agremoth family and seeks to reclaim the treasure that is rightfully theirs. Rescue mission. The party needs to enter the woods in order to save a villager, perhaps of a family member of one of the characters who has wandered into the castle and is now trapped there. Yeah, so they're giving you a lot of good options. All of those are pretty different. Sometimes when you read adventure hooks, it's like they're all the same, but just slightly tweaked. This one's, they did seem pretty different from each other, which I appreciate. So good job on that. And again, I love that they're using that 1st edition font. It's just so easy to read. People need to use this font more for other things. But anyway, it's under DI1, Castle Agremoth, in the links below, and I think you should give it a click and check it out. Next, we have Handimonsters Annual 2022, a horde of unique monsters. And it's from Handiwork Games. It's 64 pages for $7.99 with authors Jacob Rogers, John Hodgson, and Wesley Rogers. It says, Monsters! The first Handimonsters Annual brings you a collection of 51 unique 5th edition monsters to frighten, challenge, and delight your players. Created across the year at Handimonsters, the annual collects the work of some of the most experienced 5th edition designers, artists, and graphic designers in one beautiful volume. At Handy Monsters, we love monsters that work at the table. That means they have an interesting feature related to the rules and are designed to provide an interesting challenge. They're not just a list of stats and a bunch of HP. They all have engaging lore, which gives them a place in your game world, and hooks to inspire you as a GM and for your players to grab onto at the table. Every monster in this book comes with its own full-page entry, and every one is illustrated. The annual includes a CR index for your convenience and an introduction about our process for your interest. So this is from the folks that created the Beowulf games. I've done an individual video on Beowulf, and it's really cool duet play version of 5th edition with a lot of Norse influence on it. And they once again have some beautiful art and talent working on this. I definitely want to get this book as well. It's really gorgeous. I mean, it's so nicely laid out, and the artwork even on the cover is just really cool. So I'm just going to scroll through and show you a little bit of what's in here, and then we'll zoom in. So they've got a whole method here that they're going to talk about that they use, which we'll read about, and you can see just the gorgeous artwork. But let's look at the list of monsters here. So they've got Amorphic, Blaze Dog, Bog Bug, Clatterbones, Cloud Hunter, and then it goes all the way to Wild Folk over here. So there's just a ton of stuff, 50 some monsters, and that's going to be quite a few options for you. So let's read about the Handy Monsters method. Making Handy Monsters is a team process with everyone contributing in the areas of expertise. We maintain a list of monster idea suggestions. This is a list of maybe monsters that we're thinking about developing. Not every idea makes it through the process, and if a monster is to be cut, this is the best place to do so. Next, one of our developers takes one of the ideas and outlines the monster's capabilities and role in the game world. Depending on who it is, this can be more visual process or one of words and key concepts. Not surprisingly, Scott and sometimes John will submit monsters as sketches or even complete art with relevant concept notes. Because the world of Handy Monsters is generic fantasy land where anything can go, this is never a problem. Other times, Jacob or another developer will submit a written but still sketchy description of a monster, and Scott or John will render the monster from that description. Because everyone's imagination is a bit different, sometimes there's a short revision process as we make everything match up between illustration and description. So this is cool that they're kind of letting you in on their behind-the-scenes process. And, it's publishers can have kind of formal processes for development, and I find that those are always good because it makes sure that there's some vetting involved and things aren't just thrown on the page and pushed out the door, right? They're talking about how they're taking their time with it, how anybody can bring an idea, how one idea can be picked up by another person and further developed, and that's a really cool system. I like seeing that collaboration going on. And it's just cool that they detail that here so you can get an idea. And then I think it helps you feel comfortable with their designs because you can say, okay, if it's going through this robust process, it's going to probably be more balanced, more valuable than maybe one that's just thrown together and kicked out the door. So I like that. It always, with their titles, seems like a lot of care and passion went into it. It's clear to me that Handiworks Games is not just doing this for the money, right? That they have a passion, that they love it, and that they're dedicated to, making great stuff. Because I mean, look at the art on all of this; it's just really beautiful. So, yeah, I love it. I need to talk to them about doing art for my next book. So if you're watching Handiworks, reach out and let me know what your rates are so we can talk. But this. It just looks gorgeous as usual. So check it out in the video description under Handy Monsters Annual 2022 and give it a try. And then let me know in the comments how it went because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, next we have the Ihmeset, a unique 5th edition lineage rising from a fungal wasteland from plot hooks. And it's for 5th edition, of course. And it's 10 pages at $1. And it says in the description here, it says, what would a people group be like if they were trapped in isolation amidst a fungal wasteland for over 1,000 years? Inside the Ihmeset, you'll find one possible answer to that question. with the Ihmeset lineage. This epic release from Plothooks features all kinds of detail for this unique people, including lore and a full set of 5th edition mechanics. There's also loads of information on Ihmeset's original campaign setting, the War Wastes, as well as tips on adapting Ihmeset to your tables. Also included is an appendix featuring lore and mechanics around gashes, which are tears in reality in the wastes. So it's got accessible, complete with alt text and the open dyslexic typeface, which is helpful. And I like that. So let's take a look inside. So they've got the lore, the traits, and then the appendix on gashes in here. And they've even got a pronunciation guide, which I always like to see. That's super helpful. And then it talks about the mechanics, the war waste setting, and then the lore of the Ihmeset, the culture, and then names. So they're really deep diving into this. They're calling it a lineage, but it looks like it's a race, which, you know, a lot of people aren't comfortable using the term race anymore. So using lineage or ancestry or culture being used in a lot of OGL titles, which is cool. Let's take a look by zooming in and read a little bit for you. It says, despite the thought that no one survived amidst the hostility of the war wastes, a few beleaguered remnants remained. They had taken refuge in the deep gorges, reaching thousands of feet deep in places carved into the surface by the great battle. There, the warriors were out of reach of the wailing fog and the terrifying denizens of the war waste surface. These individuals were generally the local tiefling inhabitants that had been displaced by the war. They also tended to be members of the lower class, who had no access to the magical or monetary resources to be able to evacuate. Even though the battle had ceased, the surface world was still so hostile that the survivors could not travel the lengthy journey to escape. Traversing the war waste during the day was difficult enough, but the wailing fog at night prevented any journey that could not be completed while the sun was up. Left with no other option, these people settled down into a meager life in the canyons, but these folks were resilient. They called themselves the Ihmeset, abandoned in their tongue, and they didn't just survive, they thrived. As the years turned to decades and the decades to centuries, the Ihmeset adapted. They built structures suspended to the sides of the cavernous gorges, learned how to use the mushrooms to their advantage, and even developed such a symbiotic relationship with their surroundings that the mycelium tendrils began to grow in their skin. Life was difficult, but they took pride in their hardiness and in each other and developed a flourishing society despite living in the wake of oblivion. So it's a cool little story of overcoming hardship and growing into something stronger. You know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, that kind of stuff. And it's nice that this race has such a deep background, because a lot of times with these third-party races, you get just like a little paragraph, right? You don't get such care and detail. So they're really, really deep diving, which I love. And I think that's exciting. So if you're looking for a potential new race, maybe some fungal stuff connected to it, you could even maybe put this race in the Underdark if you wanted to. I would check it out in the links below under Ihmeset and give it a click. Next we have the Lost Tomb of Chuwen Kan. And it's for 5th edition. It's from Limithron, and it's 21 pages, $5.99 for the PDF. And you can see some really nice artwork in these sort of advertisements here on the front page. You've got what appear to be some VTT tokens that look really, really cool. Some cards with items. And you've got the page layouts and some maps. So if you're getting all of this for $5.99, I mean, that's a good deal. You don't often get tokens for that price by themselves, much less maps. So, I mean, look at how gorgeous these maps are. I mean, this is really, really stunning. You know, every week I'm so excited because I'm like, what am I going to show that somebody's going to be like, wow. And there's so much good stuff this week. And it's always fun to find this stuff and bring it to you. So it says under tokens, I've always hated when you have a really great map, but your tokens don't match the art style. So I did something about it. This pack includes up to 28 creature and NPC tokens. Wow, that's a lot. And these cards, Yeah, I definitely want to get this. Magic item card and puzzle handouts. Each magic item I've created for this venture includes an illustrated handout and printable item card. I also created 2 illustrations for puzzles in the adventure, an obelisk that emerges. I mean, this is great. Really great. Yeah, this is another artist I want to get the rates from because I do like their work, and I might have room for them on a future project. So hit me up if you're watching. But yes, I really like this. It's so cool. Let's take a look inside. So you can see 20 pages. So that's a really kind preview as well. And it's got the adventure, and then the maps, and then discoveries and monsters at the end as appendices. So yeah, just beautiful art throughout. Really great job, quality stuff here. Love that isometric look at that fountain there. Yeah, just really fun, balanced, art to text ratio. I like that. Here's all the fun little items. So we'll read some of the flavor text and then one of the items. But first I have to zoom in. Okay, so where can we get some flavor text? Let's look at the jungle here. Unfortunately, I have to scroll down and then back up. I apologize. It's just the nature of this new site they've got going on. I'm sure they'll get it fixed at some point. As you make your way through the thick jungle brush, the sounds of exotic birds, clicking insects, and howling monkeys surround you. You push aside hanging vines, revealing a sunlit clearing. Though your vision is blurred by tropical haze, a soft breeze blows down from the jungle mountains, revealing the silhouette of a man-made structure in the distance. As you approach, the ruins of the temple come into view. The small structure is nestled in the side of a mountain cliff and is surrounded by thick foliage and trees on all sides. A single archway in the center appears to be the only passage inside. The facade of the building is decorated with ornate carvings and glyphs depicting humans, primates, and snakes. Above the entrance, there's a relief carving of a large human head wearing a feather headdress. Resting on top of the sculpture, carved from the same rock as the temple, is a 5-foot wide head of a viper, its gaze transfixed down on the stairs that lead to the entrance. So very flavorful, sets the tone for this adventure, and I love sort of this Mesoamerica old world influence on this. Looks really cool. Now let's see if we can read about one of the items here, because you're really getting to look at this whole book, it seems like. So I think you should check this out. You're not getting to see all the tokens and things, but I think you should definitely give it a look. So the Idol of Chuwen Kan, it's a wondrous item artifact. So after passing a test of character in the jungle, Queen Naranjo was given this magic idol that gives everlasting life to 2 lovers and grants them blessings from 2 powerful Mezoan deities. But the blessing did not come without a curse, for if you die while attuned to this artifact, your loved one might die instead and leave you cursed to a torturous existence as an undead creature. Wow, that's cool, very thematic. It talks about attuning and then the blessings that you get. And it says, ageless while attuned to the idol, you and your loved one do not age by normal means and are immune to disease. And then there's a curse, and then how to destroy it. Wow, this is pretty fun stuff. And then you've got your monsters, Jade Snake, and smartly the artist is using the token for the artwork as well. So then that's really a smart idea, actually. So I love all of this, and I think you should check it out under Lost Tomb of Chuwen Kan in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Skin Deep, an epic mythos adventure from Peterson Games, and it's $19.99 for 300 pages. So that's a lot of pages, and the authors are David N. Ross and Sandy Peterson. So a few weeks ago, they released something that basically brings this kind of Cthulhu feeling stuff to 5th edition. I believe it was them, and we covered it in one of the videos. It all blurs together. I apologize if I've got it wrong. We cover so many titles. Anyway, I believe they released a book that kind of brings that Cthulhu feeling to 5th edition, and so this seems to be now giving you some adventures to deal with that. And then they have some other stuff over here. They have, looks like another one right here called The Big Sleep, Act 1 maybe. But in any case, you can click on this little see all titles or this to to see all their titles. So it says, in Skin Deep, the heroes defend the lands of humanity against the machinations of extra-dimensional doppelgangers known as Sand Dwellers. The Sand Dwellers corrupt susceptible mortals, hollowing out their bodies and stealing their skins to take their places. They have infiltrated human governments and militaries and are undermining them, weakening them against the invasion by their warlord queen, Ravazel the Butcher. Can the heroes unravel their schemes and help humanity stand fast against this otherworldly menace, or will they be too hollowed out and replaced? Okay, so sounds like a cool setup for an adventure. And then you get to see 6 of the pages, which is, I think it's mostly the table of contents, so I don't have any of the text from the book itself to read to you, but I think looking at this table of contents, there's just so much stuff in here. Everything from the setting to the town, to the festival of the feast, the violet dimension, or dimension. I'm not sure. I gotta zoom in a little bit here. Yeah, no, it is dimension. Okay, it just was blurry at the smaller size. But you've got Rise of the Revolution. Just so much stuff, because again, this is quite a large title. And they got the chapter 2. We're just on chapter 2, which is at 160 pages. So again, this is a 300-page adventure. So I think that's exciting, and people are really enjoying Call of Cthulhu and that Cthulhu stuff. And I think bringing it into D&D is a fun idea. And I mean, look at this beautiful cover art, and just the number of pages you're going to get for your $19.99. So look for it in the video description links under Skin Deep and give it a click. Next, we have Stone Over Sky, a system-neutral adventure by Justin Soroy, and it says it's Caver Book 0, and it's 47 pages, and it says this is a system-neutral adventure, meaning you should be able to use it with just about any tabletop RPG. If you have any questions, default to your system for answers to weapon damage, armor strength, etc. And if your system doesn't have an answer, let your imagination solve the problem. Low to mid-level parties will get the most out of this adventure. You can scale up the NPCs as necessary. This adventure is meant to be completed in 2 or 3 sessions. The book can also function as a 0 session to cavers. You can decide if the party can adopt the caver in this book, making it both their familiar and mobile home, or have it wander away, never to be seen again. Please note that this is not the same caver as in Caver and Cube Book 1. That's different caver that lives miles from Falkirk. So this adventure takes place about 10 years before the events of Caver and Cube Book 1. There are psychotropic mushrooms in this module. They are medicinal, as well as natural, conscious expanding tools. You can use this if you wish, but I encourage you to highlight the emotional, empathetic, and cultural benefits of these substances. So authors kind of going into the psychotropics that are in here. So it's nice to have that warning before you buy the book. You may not want that in your game, or you may, but at least the author's kind of letting you know how they feel about it. And I think the cover is kind of fun, and I'm guessing this is a caver, but I'm not familiar with Justin's previous titles, so this is maybe a sequel. And here we go. So this is giving you information on Caver Book 0, which is what this is. And then they've got this really fun map in here. And then where the party begins. And some NPCs. Yeah, I mean, it's got a nice clean layout. And it talks about the cave. And items for the stars on the map. I mean, lots of stuff here. But you just see 22 pages of this adventure before you buy it. So I think that's really, really kind and helpful. Let's take a look at, let's look where the party begins. Let's start with that. After traveling all morning, the party will have just arrived in Underbottom, a small village outside of Falkirk. Despite the name, this village is friendly and a happy little collection of eccentrics. They live by their own rules and enjoy some freedoms the people of Falkirk do not. Note that hogs and wild dogs do roam the land. This will be important to the tooth-fang hunting aspect. They can be hunted somewhat easily and should be given stats of low-level animals. Underbottom has one small inn, which the party will gravitate to, as there is little else to do. The inn is called the Bottom. Food is good and cheap. There's even a handwritten sign outside that reads Chicken Pat Pie Day. Pat is spelled like that for a reason. They bring it out and top it with a thick pat of butter. The innkeeper is named Sath, and he will know much about the land. The only odd thing about him is he keeps earplugs in his ears, and you will have to talk rather loud to him. This is common now that the Doom Drake is occupying the area. So all kinds of things going on in this town. You've got a map of it, and various things around. And you've got this caver thing going on, which we didn't read about here, but it sounds interesting because it sounds like it could be a mount even, or a familiar. So I like that. So yeah, check it out under Stone Over Sky in the links below and give it a click. Next we have The Trouble at Loch Jineeva, and it's part of Luke Gygax's World of Ōkorim, and Gaxworks is the publisher. And it's 24 pages for $4. It says, trouble brews at Loch Jineeva. Refugee mountain dwarves have descended from the grand winter palace of the dwarf king located high atop Mount Gigantor. As they are renowned for their isolationism, this behavior is most unusual for these dwarves. The demi-human refugees claim that their edifice was invaded by a dragon. They say the worm annihilated their finest warriors and drove out the rest. To make matters worse, the dwarven king is missing, presumed dead by most. Now your party have been assembled to resolve the trouble at Loch Jineeva. And what's cool is the front cover has first edition on it. You don't see that often because it's usually 5th edition or OSR or BECME or Osric or something else. So it's cool to see first edition on the front. So very fun, looks interesting, and if you're into World of Ōkorim, this is probably a must-have. And even if you're not, I think it sounds like a fun adventure, and I'm always interested in what Gaxworks is up to. So check it out under Trouble at Loch Jineeva in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Unearthed Spoils, Dipped in Poison from Grimm Press. It is 20 pages, and it's $6.99, and this is issue number 4 for Unearthed Spoils. And it says, each volume of Unearthed Spoils is to be roughly 20 to 30 pages and packed with full-color art, illustrating different types of 5th edition compatible content surrounding a central theme: magic items, classes and archetypes, magical spells, etc. So this one is focused on poisons. So it's got an intro to poisons, poisoner's toolkit, magical spells, archetypes, and then some optional rules for harvesting, preserving, and refining potions or synthesizing potions. And you've got all the various examples, and yeah, looks fun. So let's take a look inside. So you can see kind of how it's arranged with the optional rules are last, and then you've got the intro to poisons. You get to see 10 pages in here. So we'll look at a few of the spells. And again, to scroll down, I gotta drag it from over here instead of on the window, because this outer box should basically cut off here, but they've got it stretched right now until they can fix that. You got to scroll over here. All right, so let's zoom in. And so these are some of the magical spells. So Alchemist's Blessing, it's a 2nd level divination, and it's for Bard and Wizard. It's got a duration of 1 hour and a range of touch. You touch one willing creature, granting it insight into the nature of reagents and chemical reactions. For the duration, the target has advantage on intelligence, arcana, nature, and wisdom, medicine, survival checks to identify, dilute, preserve, concentration, or refine potions. The target is considered proficient with the alchemist's supplies and a poisoner's tool if it is not already. Okay, and then you've got something called Investiture of Venom, which is a 6th level transmutation. It's a range of self, and it's a duration of concentration up to 10 minutes for Druid, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. Poison flows through your veins, causing your skin and blood vessels to turn a sickly green. The poison does not harm you. Until the spell ends, you gain the following benefits. You are immune to poison damage and have resistance to necrotic damage. Any creature that moves within 10 feet of you for the first time on a turn and ends its turn there must make a con saving throw, taking poison damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful one. You can use your action to create a 15-foot cone of poisonous gas extending from your outstretched hand in a direction you choose. Each creature in the cone must make a con saving throw. A creature takes poison damage on a failed save or half as much damage on a successful one. A creature that fails its save by 5 or more is poisoned for 1 minute. At the end of each of its turns, it can make another save to end the effect. Cool. So that's a lot of fun. All kinds of poison stuff happening. And then got Poisoned Heart, 5th level necromancy, concentration up to a minute, range of touch. You touch a creature causing its heart to become infected. The target must make a con saving throw or take poison damage plus additional poison damage at the beginning of each of its turns for the duration of the spell. At the start of each of the turns, the target can make an additional save. If the target is reduced to 0 hit points while affected by the spell, it dies and its heart bursts. When its heart bursts, a cloud of poison is released in a 15-foot radius sphere centered on it. Each creature within the area must succeed on a con saving throw or take poison damage. And it's got an upcasting at higher level section. So very cool. Lots of poisony stuff in here, and all kinds of information to have archetypes related to handling the poison, like the Poison Master Rogue, and then optional rules for harvesting. So it looks really cool. Poison is something that you don't always see, so it's nice to have it fleshed out a bit more. And it's only $6.99, so check it out in the video description links under Unearthed Spoils and give it a click. Next, we have the Vade Mecum for aspiring practitioners of wild magic. It's $7, and it's from MPP Games and Matt Plotetcher. It's 135 pages. And it says a supplement expanding on the wonders and weirdness of wild magic designed for the 5th edition. It includes 1,080 wild surge effects, 50 wild spells, 19 wild magic items, 8 wild zones, 4 wild magic subclasses, new feats and backgrounds, the free caster table for spell strength variation, and an adventure called Don't Mind If I Do. And you can get it for $7 as a PDF or $34.09 as a book, or you can do $39.09 for both. And that's a soft cover book. I definitely would love to get this because I think wild magic is just so much fun. And you've got 6 pages here in the preview, and you can see they're going into the wild magic, then the subclasses, and the surges, and all the effect tables, and then you get into the spells and the magic items. So lots of fun. You've got a preface here. And then down here just starts talking about wild magic. So let's zoom in and read a little bit of that. I should have zoomed in first here. Let's do that. Okay, so let's just read about the surges because we mostly know about what wild magic is. It says wild surges and wild surge effects. Tapping directly into wild magic is not for the faint of heart. Given that the entire philosophy behind following this approach to magic is all about embracing its unrestrained fluctuations, even the most accomplished practitioners will occasionally miss a spot while casting a spell. Wild surges are the unformed surge itself. This is what exists before any actual effect takes place. Sometimes this wild surge can be shaped, molded, or even canceled by using proper precautions. In such instances, the wild surge can be completely nullified or morphed into some beneficial effect. For many starting down the path of wild magic, however, these wild surges can be far more difficult to control and far more dangerous. Wild surge effects are what the surges transform into. The final effect is determined by any number of factors ranging from the subclass to the experience of the person who attempted the spell. In some instances, just by chance, the wild surge effect may not make any difference to the current situation. In other cases, it can drastically alter the outcome of majorly important events for good or ill. But the reward outweighs the risk for many, and across a variety of classes, eager participants line up to follow along this new path in the pursuit of magical mastery. They are colloquially known as free casters, and their methods are referred to as free casting. So that's fun. We've got this free caster option here to really kind of deeply connect you to the wild surges, which is just a fun part of 5th edition anyway. And I really love this. I definitely want to read the whole book because it just looks so fun. And got some additional images here. So you've got here's some fun art as well. It says evocation wild surge effect result. And then here's some of the spells. So you've got, so this is wild magic, but conjuration. So they've kind of got a different school here, which is fun. So I love it. Looks great. I think you should look for it in the video description links under Vade Mecum and get your wild magic on. Next, we have Wickerpunk Folk Horror Supplement Rules for 5th edition from Crowland Publishing. And it's 276 pages. So that's cool. And it says it also works with Pathfinder and other Dungeons & Dragons systems. It doesn't say 5th edition here, even though it does in the title. So I would take a look at that Crowland. Make sure you check the box for 5th edition, because it'll put 5th edition compatible here. It'll help in the searches so people can find it for you. It says Wickerpunk is where heroic fantasy and folk horror meet. The rural, the pagan, the ancient, the sensual, the wild, the true face of nature, red in tooth and claw. Wickerpunk is a book that details creating fantasy campaigns and adventures where the weird and wild meet industry, where nature and civilization clash and dark hearts are laid bare. This book advises fantasy GMs on how to reskin 5th edition based character classes and concepts for a Wickerpunk campaign. It advises concepts such as historical settings, fantastic locations, and how to reimagine well-worn monsters as dark things of the forest and more. And it gives players the tools to confront the forces of darkness among the ancient runestones and shrines to forgotten saints and primal godlings of branch, bow, and brook. For any campaign that wishes to emphasize the true horror of the natural world and examine the colonial tensions of industry, especially in a fantastic setting, Wickerpunk is indispensable. And so you've got this little promo here you can watch as well. So let's take a look inside. So you've got what it is, the campaign elements, players and characters, monsters, enemy organizations, magic and technology, sample campaigns. So I'm liking the structure of this, because I'm feeling like it's a way to just weave something in, as opposed to just like, here, use everything as is. It's kind of showing you how you can weave it in, maybe create your own campaign from it, or just work in a little bit even, because it's kind of going from the campaign to the players to the monster. So it's just kind of touching all the areas. So I like that. And I like that it's where heroic fantasy and folk horror meet. So then it goes into the details into the genre. And I like that. And it talks about the punk subgenres. It says, because there is steampunk. Most people have heard of steampunk, right? So this is Wickerpunk. This is the punk genres. Don't really have much of a fixed definition, but let's define what they mean by it here so we can move forward. Punk is simply a literary subgenre aligned with the punk youth culture originating in the 1970s and reflecting its concerns, primarily anti-authoritarian, anti-consumerism, and embracing humanist concepts. It is concerned with the characters that exist on the fringes and margins of society. Square-jawed and stalwart heroes are rarely the primary antagonists of punk stories. Losers, the working class, and addicts, the oppressed or forgotten criminal and deviant, all in sundry of the so-called dregs of society. They are among the stars of this show. Those who won't or can't go along to get along, the defiant or the conflicted, adventurous types who are desperate, nothing to lose, looking to cause a ruckus, lowlifes, ragamuffins, and chancers. So it says horror fiction and Wickerpunk are cousins, but not siblings. Folk horror is an examination of the purity of wilderness, of human anxieties regarding our place in the natural world, the supernatural dangers of such a place, the weird spirits, monsters, gods, and ghosts of forest, moor, mountain, and swamp, and the dramatic lengths we must go to coexist with or propitiate them. But horror fiction is about experiencing dread, fear, disgust, alienation, and unease. Wickerpunk is about fighting those forces. Dark fantasy, not horror. So they're really spending time differentiating it, helping you understand what the genre is. And they give an example here. It says the forest is haunted by stickmen, golems bound by a mad druid. So that's one example. Strapped with alchemical fire throwers and muskets, colonists track a god thing deep into his thorny labyrinth. So it's this mixture of things. And I really think it's fun, and there's always room for stuff like that. So check it out under Wickerpunk in the links below and give it a click. Well, that's our last drive-through title of the week. We're going to move on to the DM's Guild, but before we do, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave me a comment. I will respond to you, and follow me over on Twitter at Splinterverse. We got a lot of cool stuff coming this year. We're going to be doing our first Kickstarter, and I have been writing furiously on it. So much good stuff. I cannot wait to be able to talk about it, because it has just been a passion idea of mine for a long time, and we're finally going to do it. And I think you guys are going to be just, I hope your mouth is just agape at the idea. So I can't wait to tell you what it is. So you want to be following me so you can find out right away when it happens. And click those links down below. Support all of these creators. They have worked so hard to get all these great books out. We've seen so many great titles already, and we're only halfway through this week's episode. So be sure you're clicking those links, support them, purchase their books or purchase other books they've made. And if you do purchase, leave them a review, a comment, whatever. Encourage them to keep going. Follow them on their socials, all that good stuff. And if you click any of those links and buy any title, even ones that we didn't feature today, it's going to help support the channel a little bit, and I really appreciate that. But if you want to be extra kind today, we do have some titles we released from Splinterverse Media listed in those video description links as well, including our Feywild Companion, which just recently went platinum. It's got 150 pages of Feywild fun, VTT tokens, maps, adventures, monsters, spells, subclasses, everything's in it. All Feywild, all fun. Then we've got Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, which is dragon-themed stuff for players and DMs. It's got a subclass for every single class. It's got horde magic items. It's got draconic gifts, familiars, adventure hooks. It's just packed full of stuff, and it's down in those links, along with Van Richten's Libra of Lineages, which is really one of the first books to talk about lineages. It came out the day before Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, and it gives you a lot of optional rules that you can use to support your usage of lineages, as well as 4 brand new, truly unique, fun lineages that can work in any setting. And then we've got Potions Unlocked, which is over 100 pages on digital or print on demand, with potion locations, including a magic school that works well with Strixhaven, and it's got all sorts of brand new potions with short stories for each and every one of them, so you can get the full backstory and lore on how these potions came into existence. You can even turn those stories into adventure hooks if you want to, and lots of fun maps in that one as well. And then finally we have Secrets of the Draugr, a brand new race that is kind of a blend of Drow and Duergar, but it's got its own culture and a lot of rich lore, including deities and a new fortune-telling method in that book. So check all of those out. They're linked down below. All right, now on to DM's Guild. Our first DM's Guild title of the week is Academies of Eberron Addendum, a collection of Strix classes for Eberron. So if you're unfamiliar, prior to the release of the Strixhaven book from Wizards of the Coast, they released a Unearthed Arcana that had some what are now colloquially called Strix classes, which is subclasses that were designed for the use by multiple classes. And so since it was for Strixhaven, it's kind of called a Strix class now, because they abandoned the idea for the official book, but there are people that are still fans of the concept, and so this particular book is extending that, because it's an addendum to a book with Academies of Eberron as the title previously that had some, we covered it on this series, that had some of these Strix classes in it. So inside this one, you'll find the Dragon Mark Adept, a subclass for sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards with the Dragon Mark. Gatekeeper Hunter, a demon aberration slayer subclass for fighters and barbarians. Talenta Planesrider, a dinosaur rider subclass for fighters and barbarians. Gatekeeper Hunter, a subclass for fighters and barbarians. Mourner, a living spell controller subclass for sorcerers and wizards. So very fun. It's 9 pages for $2.99 by Joseph Vargas and Sabriel Maston. And looking inside, you get to see pretty much all the pages, which is nice. So you can read about each of these subclasses and make the determination if it'll work for your players or you if you are the player. So let's find one. Let's read about this dinosaur riding stuff. So I think it's this Talenta Planesrider. It says it's for fighters and rogues. The halflings of Talenta Plains are a fearsome bunch. Part of their coming-of-age traditions entail finding and bonding with a dinosaur mount. This is a spiritual journey as rider and mount become one in battle and in spirit. So you get a saurian companion. At 3rd level, you gain a dinosaur companion that accompanies you on your adventures and is trained to fight alongside you. You choose a stat block, Clawfoot, Hammertail, or Glidewing, which uses your proficiency bonus in several places. Like any creature, the dinosaur can spend hit dice during a short rest and has a number of hit dice equal to your level. In combat, the dinosaur shares your initiative, etc. And then you've got all of these little stat blocks. And then you've got, also at 3rd level, you gain a proficiency in animal handling and survival. And then Live to Ride at level 7. Your experiences riding together make you and your partner a more efficient team. Your saurian companion's movement speed increases by 5 feet when you are riding them. Additionally, your saurian companion's attacks are considered magical for the purposes of overcoming resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks and damage. And then at 10th level, your saurian companion is able to take a hit without flinching, giving you the following benefits. And so you get, the saurian companion gets +2 to their AC, and hit points increase by a number equal to twice your level. And then at 15, it's made your saurian companion able to react quickly to threats. And when a creature you see attacks a target within 15 feet of your companion, you can use your reaction to command your companion to move 15 feet and make an attack against that creature. If your attack hits, it deals additional damage equal to half your level in the class, and the target's attack automatically misses. And then level 18, you and your partner have become an apex predator of planes, giving you the following benefits. Additional damage for your companion's attacks, movement speed increases, and you can make an attack while your saurian companion is within 10 feet of you. And one weapon attack, or no, it says when you take the attack action while your saurian companion is within 10 feet of you, one weapon attack has advantage. So some fun stuff with the dinosaurs, and that's just one. They've got a bunch of cool Strix classes in here for you. So check it out under Academies of Eberron in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Aska Mine by Brett Rosell, and it's one page, 50 cents, and it's basically a map. And I thought it was a great price for a map because, I mean, look at this thing. It's a full mine with all kinds of stuff going on in it. You've even got little tracks with the mine cars and little caches of things, even little hidden rooms, etc. Mushroom circles and all kinds of good stuff. So I thought for 50 cents this would be great to show all of you. And there's a preview where you can zoom in on the map and see a little bit more about what's going on, and see if it's going to work for you. But I think for 50 cents this would be a good one to just have on hand in case you all of a sudden need to go into a mine or have some underground stuff come up, even Underdark. This could be helpful for. So check it out under Aska Mine in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got the Compact Kobold Compendium, a comprehensive guide to kobolds by Jamie Manson. It's pay what you want price of $4.99 suggested, and it's 74 pages, so it's a lot of pages. It says the following book provides ideas and ways to help out flesh out your character with unique quirks, subclasses, traits, and spells for kobolds. When you bring your kobold character to the table, this compendium will give you a myriad of options to make them more believable and beloved by your fellow players. So it's got additional personality quirks and monstrous origin tables, 9 new sub-races of kobolds, from the brute-like swobolds to the fishy fin scales, 26 kobold racial and subracial feats, 4 kobold backgrounds from tribe workers to draconic emissaries, new kobold archetypes for every class with 15 total, 36 kobold spells from thematic geomancer spells to fun flavorful sorcery, kobold name and tribe name tables, kobold items and equipment, 19 magical items, 19 detailed traps. It says, while thematically aligned and inspired by kobolds, many spells, magic items, and subclasses can be easily ported to non-kobold characters with little to no additional work. So, yeah, it's very cool. It says some of the content is built to stand independently, but also complements the Volo's Guide to Monsters Kobold segment. So, that's helpful as well. Let's take a look inside. So you get to see 6 of those 74 pages. You can see everything here, all the different subclasses, and spells, and stuff they have going on. We've got introduction, kobold quirks. We'll look at those in a minute. And then some sub-races of the kobolds as well. So good little preview here of some stuff that you're going to see. Let's read some of these quirks. So it says, I pick items on their shininess, not their practicality or usefulness. So that could be a fun thing to roleplay. I'm a huge coward and will never consider being at the front ever. I'll seek out to be behind someone or something. So there you go. I will harbor a grudge over the smallest thing for the longest time. In time, the debt will be repaid. So that's a fun character trait to play. You could really hone that with some dialogue, some things that your character's saying about their grudge and even things they're saying about, I'm not going to be in front, don't put me in front, that kind of stuff. And then you've got some monstrous origins, like your tribe is led by a metallic dragon who has raised mild-mannered kobolds. Your egg was found isolated and was raised by another race. That's a fun story element. All kinds of stuff. You escape the corruption of your tribe. You are an ambassador on a mission of peace. And then you've got some sub-races down here. So we'll just read this intro to the rock scale kobolds. It says, high in the mountains reside the rock scale kobolds, a secretive and isolated sub-race, keeping themselves concerned in their work by keeping as far away from distractions as possible. They are naturally reclusive and are located within vast mountain ranges where the terrain is rocky and treacherous. They are known for their thin and maze-like tunnel systems used to act as natural, non-aggressive method to deal with would-be interlopers. So, fun stuff, all kinds of stuff going on with kobolds. I know kobolds are quite fun and popular for people, so if you're a kobold fan, even if you want to use some of these as a DM to add some flavor to some of the kobolds that people encounter so they're not just kind of generic, I think 74 pages at a pay-what-you-want price is a great deal. So check it out under Compact Kobold Compendium and give it a click in the links below. And now we've got Construct Codex Modrons. And it's by George Thomas, and it's basically volume 1 in a series called Construct Codex, and it's 42 pages. It says, this bookmarked 42-page sourcebook contains statistics, lore, and illustrations for all 10 types of Modron hierarchs, including Primus, clockwork god of Mechanus, as well as rules for Modron player characters, statistics for Modron swarms, and a variety of new magic items. It includes stat blocks for all 10 types of hierarch Modron, stat blocks for swarms of Modron drones, tables to randomly generate Modron exploration parties, a new playable character race, the Modron, a new background and feat for Modron player characters, and 27 new Modron-inspired magic items. So heavy Modron stuff going on, and I think that's fun. Modrons are really cool characters. We use some in our Feywild companion. There's some Modrons in our adventure, one of our adventures that we have. And I think they're just generally really cool. And here are 4 pages that you get to preview. So you can see they've got really fun artwork for each of the Modrons. And then you've got the stat blocks with all of their various activities that they can do, their actions and traits, of course. So let's see if we can find a fun little action we can read here. So let's read about, this one's called the Quinton. So we'll read about the cataclysmic calculation action. So it says the Quinton fires a beam of pure math in a 5-foot wide, 60-foot long line. Each creature in the line must make a intelligence saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes psychic damage and is blinded until the end of Quinton's next turn. On a successful save, a creature takes half as much damage and is not blind. I think it's a Quinton. I'm pronouncing it wrong. Not Quinton. Quinton. But that's fun. I'm scared of math. I don't want that hitting me. So, yes, definitely a fun, flavorful action there. And that's just one. I mean, there's 42 pages of this stuff for $3.60. So I think you should check it out under Construct Codex in the links below and give it a click. We've got the Crimson Pact Warlock next. It's a subclass for the Warlock, of course, and it's by Mark West. It's also a pay-what-you-want price of 69 cents for 7 pages. It says it's connected to Forgotten Realms, and it says there are ways for a person to garner the attention of dark entities in the universe, many of them requiring a fanatical devotion in the form of human sacrifices to garner these entities' powers. But in return, those that take the Crimson Pact receive the ability to draw the life essence of others and themselves to perform their Dark Lord's will. And so it goes through all the different abilities here. And then alternative thematics. One character is not set in stone while playing the subclass. There's alternative themes for the characters. So you could have the vampire or the soul stealer. And even though it's based on the author's own setting, it works in any setting and is made with the belief that all PCs can be role-played well, no matter the class or subclass. Let's take a look inside. So you get to see the entirety of the book, which is nice. So this is some of the details. So we'll just read a few of the abilities here. We're not going to read the whole thing because we want you to check it out. And it is all on display, so it'll give you a reason to come back and read all of it. So your Dark Lord demands a sacrifice. You are given an ornate dagger by your patron. This dagger is sinister to behold and allows you to send the life essence of any non-undead, ooze, elemental, or construct creature to your patron. Another dagger can be summoned from your patron as a 1-hour ritual if the previous dagger is lost. You can, as an action, roll a religion check against a worthy target. If the roll is greater than the target's current hit points, then they are sacrificed to your god and killed instantly. Such a creature is stabbed by the ornate dagger, and lacerations appear on its body as it erupts into a bloody mist and is reduced to a pile of flesh and bones. And then there's other things that happen, including entreat, engorge, empower, enhance. So very thematic. And then under 6th level, your patron bestows upon the gift of taking life essence from any dying creature around you. You can, as a reaction, draw hit points from a worthy creature within 30 feet of you the moment they die. When you do so, you regain an amount of hit points equal to your warlock level as the corpse you target gets transformed into a thin red mist which you absorb. If you have a companion for your pact with a chain feature or a creature indoctrinated into your patron's servitude, the companion is also healed for an amount equal to half of your warlock level. So, very thematic, working with all the blood stuff. You've got this descriptions of the blood kind of turning into this mist and then impacting you, etc. But as the author noted, it can be a vampire or a soul stealer instead of some of these other notions that we've read. So lots of options. So check it out under Crimson Pact Warlock in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got D'Artagnan's Adventure Almanac. It says explore a wealth of new rules and options for players and dungeon masters. And it's from D'Artagnan, 1999, for 108 pages. It says the world contains a great many people of every background, race, and subclass. Many beasts roam the wilderness and great beyond, and many feats of greatness can be seen. This almanac attempts to catalog them all. Inside you'll find many options, including 9 races, 30 subclasses, 15 feats, 52 spells, 33 magic items, 5 artifacts, and 54 monsters. So a lot of stuff in this 108 pages. And fun artwork on the cover. You get to see 3 of the pages in the preview, and it's just got the content, so we can't see anything to read. I'd love to read a little bit. And if you're watching D'Artagnan, you might want to just add 1 extra page so people can get a sample of your writing. I think it'll help you get some sales, because it looks like you have a lot of awesome stuff in here. You've got tons of subclasses and monsters and all kinds of good stuff. I mean, this is just jam-packed with value, it looks like. So many races, from elf, drider elf, all the way down to pitborn tieflings. And then the class options, you've got artificers all the way down to something called Riftbinder. So you've got liminal origins for the Riftbinder, and then the paladin, you've got Oath of the Scourge, and then some villainous optional class features. So just tons of stuff. And witch knights, wizards. So I'm guessing, I don't know if it says here where those other classes come from. Maybe from D'Artagnan. Maybe D'Artagnan has released witch knights and rift binders before. We'll take a look in just a second. But feats, spells, equipment, monsters, etc. So yeah, let's look under D'Artagnan and see if maybe those other classes are something D'Artagnan. So yep. So previously, D'Artagnan has released 2 classes. Those are also pay what you want, which is really kind. So you can get those and then have some additional subclasses. So that's nice. Building on that, D'Artagnan, good job. I think that's smart. And 108 pages of stuff for this is great. So it's $19.99, and like I said, tons of stuff in it. So check it out under D'Artagnan's Adventure Almanac in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Elemental Monk Ways, 7 Elemental Archetypes from Darren Kinney. It's $4.95 for 8 pages. It says, wield the elements in this brand new expansion for the Monk class that comes with 7 distinct elemental archetypes. Whether you wish to unleash relentless, devastating flames or become as immovable as the mountains themselves, this book allows you to tap into the primordial elements to defeat your foes. So you've got Way of Crashing Waves, move with the grace of the ebbing tide and strike with the force of a tidal wave. Way of Burning Embers, reignite the spark of hope in your allies and be as eternal as a primordial fire itself. Way of the Storm Herald, move with the speed of lightning and strike with the power of a raging storm. And it says you can check out all 7 in the preview, which again is super kind. 7 pages here, which is, once you add the cover, that's the full book. So I like the artwork, very, very well done, nice layout, easy to read, easy on the eyes, enjoying all of those. So you've got the Way of the Crashing Waves, Way of the Blustering Winds, Burning Embers, Raging Flames, and Storm Herald, Stone Warden. So let's read about the Storm Herald. That sounds like a fun name. So it says your key becomes infused with the power of the storm, allowing you to wield thunder and lightning to devastate your foes. Your features gain the following benefits. Bolt, when you succeed on a dex saving throw, you can teleport to an unoccupied space. Lightning Strike, when you use your Stunning Strike feature, the creature takes additional lightning damage on a failed save. Storm Rush, when you use your Step of the Wind feature, you can emit a burst of thunderous force as you begin your movement or after moving at least 20 feet. When you do, all creatures within 5 feet must make a con saving throw or take damage. And then Building Storm, 6th level. When you hit a creature with an unarmed attack, you gain a lightning charge up to a maximum equal to your wisdom mod. You deal an additional 1 lightning damage with your unarmed attacks for every charge you have. Charges are lost if you do not hit a creature with an unarmed attack on your turn. And Thundering Blows, 11th level. When you roll a 19 or 20 on an attack roll, you deal an additional 2d6 thunder damage if the creature is the size of large or smaller and is pushed. And then 17th level, as an action, you can call the elemental power of the storm into your body for 1 minute. You gain the following benefits. You gain resistance to thunder and lightning. You build your build storm feature maximum increases to half your monk level, rounded up. Attacks of opportunity made against you are made with disadvantage. When a creature makes an attack of opportunity against you and misses, it takes lightning damage. So very thematic, lots of thunder and lightning going on. With all of your strikes and various things that you're doing with your key, these unarmed attacks. So I like it. And that's just one. There's all these other elements like flame and moon and embers and stuff in here. So I think you should check it out under Elemental Monk Ways in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Endgame. Menzoberranzan Excursion Act 3. It's a 12-hour Tier 3 adventure connected to Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage. In the thrilling finale, the heroes must assassinate a drow matron, choose the next ruler of House Freth, and ultimately decide the fate of the City of Spiders. So you've got Aaron Harrell is the author, $3.99 for 67 pages. And it says it follows the events of 2 other previous adventures, which are linked. The heroes have maneuvered through politics and conflict between the drow houses Freth and Avrindar, and they find themselves at the culmination of the machinations of nefarious forces. This 12-hour adventure utilizes story awards to track the heroes' progress and tailor story elements and challenges to the decisions they've made. And then there's a little video on it. And there's also a bundle where you can get all 3 parts of the adventure for $9.99. So definitely consider that before you purchase. But you can click the link in the video description to get here and get to the bundle as well. So looking inside, you get to see 13 of those 67 pages. So you've got a forward. And then you've got the adventure broken down. And then at the end, there's some appendices with monsters, spells, and story awards, including a handout as well. So the introduction, and then there's a side quest you can do. All kinds of stuff. Okay, so let's find an area we can read here. I think this one looks like a good one to read. It says, Menzoberranzan is a city of great injustice, and I have served under its yoke my entire life. Always the beck and call of my matron and the priestesses. I am tired of being bound to the will of others, and so I hope you may help me gain my freedom. What I am asking is that you help me commit one of the greatest sins of drow society. I am asking that you aid a male in killing his house's matron mother. A rare opportunity has presented itself. In speaking with my house's mages, I have learned of a weakness in the protective runes that ward House Avrindar's fortress against outsiders. A simple application of blood magic shall allow you the opportunity to simply walk in through the front gates. There may be a few complications en route to Besmira's chambers, but you have proven yourselves quite resourceful. Further, I have made deals with powerful 𝙽𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙀 to abduct Besmira's soul from the demon web pits after her death. This will prevent her resurrection and obscure the truth of her demise from divination magic. So, nice little setup for an assassination, it sounds like. And it's nice that the author has like all the answers to follow-up questions to the read-aloud text. So it seems pretty thorough. Like there's a lot of detail, a lot of time. I mean, certainly 67 pages on this one adventure, and then however many on the other two. I mean, this author's really dedicated to this drow trilogy here, and I think that's fun. I think we need authors that do that, because people like sequels. They like to continue on the story, and so now you can get this whole bundle for only $10 and have 3 big adventures all connected to drow. So check it out under in-game Menzoberranzan in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got EX1 Dungeonland. It's a conversion guide for the classic module by Ernie Noah. It's got monsters, magic items, creature encounters, and you'll need the original module to be able to play this. This isn't all by itself playable. You need the original, but I like showing these because a lot of you do have older books, and this gives you a way to convert them. Or you can go try to get the book, on eBay or whatever, and then buy this as well. It's got 10 maps with grid and non-grid variants, and you can see some of the maps here that work for the story. So it's so nice to bring these old modules back to life. I mean, they just collect dust after a while because people are playing different versions of the game and maybe don't want to play the old versions, or it's too much work to convert it. But you can see just a lot of work has gone into this, prepping it. So see if we can read a little section here. It says a number of spells and magic items that use similar 𝙽𝙬𝙀 will not function in Dungeonland. Of course, if they find some item that has the power listed below, then the magic will function because the 𝙽𝙬𝙀 is native to the pocket plane of Dungeonland. So yeah, you've got some pocket plane stuff going on. So marble statue, Cherridos, the senile archmage. Cherridos has polymorphed into a statue of man-sized rabbit as per encounter description. Being native to the pocket plane, he can grow and shrink. His vest holds spell components, although he does not remember which components are in each pocket. If he is threatened or molested, the confused old fellow will react by casting a random spell on himself or the party. Use the following table to determine what spell is cast. So, spells change from edition to edition, right? So the author really has to spend a lot of time going through, looking for what still exists, what doesn't. These are not like a 5-minute thing, right? There's a lot of work that has to go into these conversions. So check it out under EX1 Dungeonland in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have The Gloomies, a treasure hunting adventure for characters of all level. And this is a really fun cover. I love the artwork. It's a parody of Goonies, because that's kind of one of the painted posters that they had for Goonies as well. So I think it's just really cool. And it's by Steve Jasper Orr, Christian Peterman, and Wizard Sleeve Studios. $4.95 for 33 pages. And it looks like Victoria Blackmore is the artist. And it says the pirate captain known as Two-Toed Twilly terrorized the Sword Coast for decades until she mysteriously disappeared along with her crew and her wealth of accumulated treasure. When the party comes into possession of a long-forgotten treasure map, the search for the legendary pirate ship, the Gloomshade, begins. Twilly was never one to easily surrender and has assured that the ship and its hoard are guarded by a gauntlet of traps, obstacles, puzzles, and more. Does the party have what it takes to survive and claim the lost treasure? Inspired by the popular movie from the 1980s, the Gloomies sends the party on a treasure hunt, the likes of which they've never seen before. The story takes the characters to an abandoned hideout through booby-trapped tunnels and towards the final resting place of Two-Toed Twilly, her crew, and their legendary treasure. It's got the original adventure, 6 original maps with VTT-ready versions, an original treasure map to hand out to the players, 5 magic items with the pirate nautical theme, 5 stat blocks for easy access to some of the creatures and NPCs used as adventure. And you can see some of the art here, but we'll look inside. So you got the introduction and story hooks. You get to see 19 pages of the Gloomies here. So I'm just going to scroll through quickly so you can see kind of the overall look, but lots of fun stuff. Cool artwork throughout. And you got the magic items, so we'll read one of those in a minute, but let me see if I can find some flavor text to read for you. All right, here's something on the map. So we'll read that. It says, the map is made of old yet sturdy parchment. The parchment has yellowed over the years and shows some signs of wear around its edges. The black ink remains clear and quite legible. The details depict a jagged coastline with some small islands off the coast. Some roughly drawn trees indicate the locations of forest, and a few jagged triangles indicate mountains, while a few curvy lines indicate rivers, roads, or perhaps both. Near the coastline is a large black X. In the bottom corner of the map, in a fancy script writing, are the words, Gloomies never die. So it's a fun little way of introducing the map here, which they've got a picture of as well, showing the X. And I'm guessing that might be the handout as well, but I'm not sure. And then, yeah, look at these nice maps of underground stuff. Music even in here. And then you've got the map of a ship, cave-in, and then down here is the magic item. So we'll read a little bit about it. The Cloak of the Kraken. It's a legendary item that requires attunement. While wearing this cloak, you may use an action to make a tentacle attack. A tentacle sprouts from the cloak, does damage, and has a chance to grapple the target if you choose to. Tentacle attack can only be used once per long rest. And then it's got details on the attack, and then there's also grapple. And then there's the eye patch map. It's a wondrous item, very rare. The eye patch has 2 charges. While you wear this eye patch, you can use an action to speak its command word to activate an effect that allows you to see the layout of the surrounding area. You can detect walls, hallways, and doors. You cannot detect any creatures, items, or traps. This effect has a range of 100-foot cube area centered on you. The effect lasts for 1 hour. It can penetrate most barriers, but is blocked by 10 feet of stone, 1 foot of common metal, a thin sheet of lead, or 20 feet of wood or dirt. The eye patch regains all of its charges daily at dawn. So very fun. Cool. I like this. It's just, that movie is so fun, and I just really enjoyed this art on the front. I think this will be a good time for you, a good adventure, and it's in the links below under Gloomies, so give it a click. Next, we have The Mage's Door by Travis Hesson. It's $10 for 30 pages. It says, Neverwinter is buzzing after a royal decree. Warring factions fight to find the secret lying in wait along the Sword Coast. Adventurers will navigate this political-fueled action adventure to find the fabled Mage's Door. Is it real? Is it worth the risk required to find it? Which faction will be recorded in the halls of history as the victor? Only the strongest adventurers would dare search for such a treasure. And then you get to see 6 of the pages inside. So you've got all the outline of the adventure here. And it looks like maybe what you could do to return to Neverwinter. And then you've got your campaign overview. All the information on the different locations. Even Candlekeep's involved. But we'll come in here and read a little bit about the introduction. So we are in the bustling marketplace of Neverwinter, and it says, by the decree of Lord Protector 𝙁𝙤𝙀 Neverember, those who bring me proof of the treasure, what has declared the Mage's Door, will receive the highest stations in the land, unspeakable wealth, as well as their rightful place in the glorious histories of Neverwinter. So, quite fun, little playful intro there that gets you excited for finding this treasure. And then you've got various characters, the town crier, the marketplace, the city, and then something called Castle Never. Players may choose to travel to the work in progress that is Castle Never. Here they will meet guards at the front gate, various construction sites, and other wards of the castle to include Lord Protector 𝙁𝙁𝙀 Neverember. So, fun stuff. And it is all to be found in the links below under Mage's Door. Give it a click. Next, we have more Witchlight Carnival games, new games and attractions by Matthew J. Allen. And it is $3 for 7 pages. It's a supplement for Wild Beyond the Witchlight and features 8 new games and attractions, including bumper barrels, Kyphin's Ferris Wheel, Flynn and Wilkie's Musical Review, Madame Alana's Terraka Card Reading, Quipple's Shell Game, and more. And there are a couple bundles that you can get it in. There's one that has another Witchlight Carnival Games book, and then the Witchlight for the Combat Starved titles that we've covered recently are bundled together with this as well. So let's take a look inside. You get to see 4 of the 7 pages. So you got more carnival games, such as Bumper Barrels, Kyphon's Ferris Wheel, all these good things in here. And then here's a whole bunch on the Terraka reading. So I like that, with details on what you would find. So let's see what we get here. It says, a scarlet and gold tent sits in front of a large Vistani wagon. The distant sound of haunting violin music seems to emanate from within the tent. A young Vistani woman in a red shawl over a white blouse stands outside of the tent, welcoming people inside for a Terraka card reading. Madame Alana's Terraka card reading is free. The party joins her inside the tent, where there's a round table. Madame Alana takes out a well-worn deck of Terraka cards and performs a reading for the party. She draws 1 card for each participant, or 3, depending on how much time you would like to dedicate to the event. Feel free to rely on the Terraka reading table below and embellish however you would like. So, for example, if you roll a D100 and you get an 8, you get the Horseman card, which says a powerful bloodline may come to an end. If you get the Raven card on a 12, someone knows a secret and they will tell it to you, etc. And it goes all the way up to 51 choices here. And then you've got the shell game. I mean, just lots of fun games in here. And you can use this for any carnival, the carnival in Ravenloft, or any carnival you want to invent. So I think you should definitely consider it under more Witchlight Carnival games in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have the Multiverse Files, Curse of Strahd. It's kind of a play on X-Files. And it's E.R.F. Jordan's title. It's $7.95 for 27 pages. It says 1,000 planet-sized sheets in a single book, bound by the same cosmic leather, a million bubbles of time and space floating through dark ether and gently nudging one another. A tree with innumerable branches, each representing a decision made in the annals of history. No matter how you choose to imagine the multiverse, it is in the essence the same. A collection of worlds, each slightly different than its neighbors, and together, spanning the total breadth of possibility. This book outlines 6 different versions of Barovia, the first domain of dread in the territory of dread vampire Strahd Van Zarevich. Each version presents a new way to play Curse of Strahd, replacing villains, adding new storylines, and playing with the role of Strahd himself. So, here are some of the 6 scenarios. What if Strahd was a lycanthrope instead of a vampire? What if the land of Barovia was in Eberron? What if Strahd learned of the dark powers? What if Castle Ravenloft was the Dark Lord of Barovia? What if Strahd became a dragon? What if Tatiana was the Dark Lord of Barovia? So, we've seen, Curse of Strahd is one of the most popular adventures of the 5th edition, and maybe even all-time Dungeons and Dragons. And so we've seen a number of titles come out that were gender-bent versions of it. And now this is kind of trying other variations, so you can get more shelf life out of that that adventure in that book. And I think that's cool. I like people experimenting, trying different things, and giving you additional ways to use something you've already purchased. So for basically an extra $8, you can take what you've already purchased from Curse of Strahd and extend its life. So fun idea, and Lots of those concepts sound really good. So you get to see 18 of the 27 pages. So you get to find the introduction, aesthetic changes, all kinds of good stuff in here. Treasures of Ravenloft, adventure hooks. We'll probably look at those in a second. Stat blocks, dark machines. Aberrations in amber. Just all kinds of fun angles to get into Curse of Strahd without it being the same old. And if you are a professional DM and you're running it all the time, or you're, you've got several groups doing it, this could be a way to really make it make it different for you. So you've got something called the Holy Symbol of Night here. It's a wondrous item, legendary. It says this amulet is forged with the beautiful porcelain of Mother Night on one side and the snarling panther-like face of Malar on the other. It is said to give the user some measures of control over lycanthropes, including Strahd. Once belonged to Saint Markovia, priestess of Mother Night and skilled enemy of Strahd. Has 10 charges. As an action, you can touch Malar's face on the amulet and expend 2 charges to censure all lycanthropes. Each lycanthrope that can see or hear you within 30 feet must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be turned. Moonlight. As an action, you can touch Mother Night's face on the amulet and expend 2 charges to cast the Moonbeam spell without expending a spell slot. So fun item. Adventure hooks. When one of the characters contracts lycanthropy, Tatiana's reincarnation Arena approaches them. She suspects a treatment is hidden in the depths of Amber Temple, and she offers to accompany them there in exchange for protection from Strahd. A priest asks the characters to protect him for a few days, as he suspects that ravens are watching him, much to the derision of his neighbors. The twist, they really are watching him, and they want him dead. So those are just 2 of some awesome hooks in here. And yeah, just lots of ways to shake up Ravenloft, and you could probably combine some of these together into a new version, or maybe be even inspired to come up with your own what if on Strahd. So check it out under Multiverse Files, Curse of Strahd, in the links below, and give it a click. Next, we have Neverwinter Noir, an original adventure in 3 acts, a gritty urban mystery for 3rd level characters. It's by Nick Kendall, $9.99 for 51 pages. It says a party of adventurers is hired by Neverwinter City Guard to investigate and put a stop to a trade of deadly magical drugs that have killed several townspeople. It's a one-shot adventure, but it's not one you can hope to complete in a single session. Each act takes 1 or 2 sessions to complete, depending on how long you typically play. The entire adventure takes place in the city of Neverwinter, a metropolis on Faerun's Sword Coast. To solve the mystery, the players must follow clues and interrogate potential suspects. So yeah, sounds fun. There's 9 pages. And some cool artwork, nice layout, easy to read. Even some handouts here with little handwriting on them. Let's read one of these little flavor text boxes. So, Hall of Justice. At the start of Act 1, you find yourselves in Neverwinter, the city of skilled hands, or at least that's what they used to call it when the volcano exploded in 51. The city changed. Entire districts were leveled in the blast, and thousands died. In the decades since, they've tried to rebuild it from the ashes, but there have been hurdles, to say the least. It's no wonder it's not what it used to be. Still, for whatever reason you find yourselves here and you're looking for work, you head to the Hall of Justice, where you're told Sergeant Knox has issued a call for adventurers, and in your line of work, you take the jobs where you can get them. So I like that. Nice little introduction. Hooks you in, brings you in, shows you where you're going to start, why you're, where you're at, and the Hall of Justice is kind of your base as you deal with all these things, and looks like some fun artwork throughout here. So, and it's 51 pages of an adventure, so lots of material for that $9.99. So check it out under Neverwinter Noir in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Professor Bucknold's Closet of Confiscated Spellcasting Foci, with this really nice cover where he's basically saying, "Give me that. You're not supposed to have it." It's by Joel Klein, and it's $3.95, and it looks like Joel's also the artist, so that's cool. Inside the closet are 22 spellcasting foci with vivid descriptions and original art. Each focus has several abilities which unlock as you progress from levels 1 to 16. So that's really cool. I mean, just looking at the artwork, I mean, this is some really beautiful art. And let me go look inside here. So yeah, you have the Huntsman's Torque, Meniscus Orb, and Minstrel's Song Sheet, Notions of the Arcane Tailor, and the Ravenous Reliquary. That art is really beautiful. And Rocks of the River's Bed. So some fun stuff here. Let's read about the Ravenous Reliquary. This bronze reliquary contains the ashes of heroes, undead, beasts, and banished. When you hold the reliquary and call upon aid from the souls of those contained, you cannot predict exactly which ability will manifest. Choose which ashes to channel, then roll 1d4 to determine which ability you gain from the ashes. All of these effects last 1 minute unless they are considered an action. Only one effect can be active at one time. So Ashes of the Beast. You can get Pack Tactics, advantage on melee attacks when at least one ally is within 5 feet of the target. Keen Senses, advantage on perception. Slinky cannot be grappled or restrained. And plus 10 movement speed, unaffected by difficult terrain, and jump distance is plus 10 feet. So yeah, if you're channeling the beast, you're going to get one of these 4. So at least you kind of know, okay, it's going to be 1 out of 4 because you're picking from these 3 sections, or actually more than 3 sections. You got Banished, Undead, and Raged. So yeah, that's fun. What does the Banished give you? It says resistance to fire and immunity is 1, and immunity to poison. And then Fiery Aura. Fire pulses out from you. Creatures that start their turn within 10 feet must succeed on a dex saving throw or take fire damage. Magic resistance, advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. Teleport, you can teleport up to 120 feet. So very fun. Lots of cool looking items with artwork for them. And I like the concept of these are things that are maybe stolen from or not stolen, but confiscated from students at Strixhaven. So you could use it for that, or you could use the items outside of the Strixhaven setting. They don't really necessarily have to go together. It's all up to you with Dungeons and Dragons. So check it out in the links below under Professor Bucknold's Closet of Confiscated Spellcasting Foci and give it a click. Next we have Roguish Archetypes, 10 subclasses for rogues from Nearsighted Games for $3.99, 7 pages. And you've got everything from an acrobat, courtier, dread pirate, gambler, goon, merchant, ninja, operative, sniper, and treasure hunter in here. So let's take a look inside and get to see 3 of those pages. You've got courtier, dread pirate, etc. So let's see, under the courtier, some are born to rank and privilege, while others must work to insinuate themselves into halls of power. However they got there, courtiers are comfortable moving among the social elite and operating in a world where knowledge is power and words are weapons. So you learn 2 languages of your choice, and you get a proficiency in either one musical instrument or a gaming set. You gain a proficiency in deception and persuasion, and you have advantage on persuasion and deception checks. You are able to cast the Vicious Mockery cantrip at will at level 9. And then 13th level, you have developed relationships among the noble class that help you gather information while in a city or town where you've spent at least 7 days. You may roll a DC 20 charisma check to determine whether you have a personal contact position within the nobility of that city or town. On a success, you are friendly with at least one person who is a local noble or who works closely with a local noble. And then you have advantage on any subsequent investigation checks, etc. And then at 17th level, you can cast the Vicious Mockery cantrip as a bonus action. And then no matter what you say, magic that would determine if you were telling the truth indicates you are being truthful if you choose. And you can't be compelled to tell the truth by magic. So pretty powerful at 17th, but that's 17th level, so you're already pretty powerful, right? Very cool. And that's just one. There's 10 different subclasses, so if you're a rogue player, this is going to be a really fun one for you. So check it out under Roguish Archetypes in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Spell Scrolls prop handouts from Gaia Stein at a suggested price of 72 cents on Pay What You Want for 7 pages. And it basically gives you 6 spell scrolls that you can use as a prop, including Greater Restoration, Purify Food and Drink, Chill Touch, Death Ward, Identify, and Detect Magic. And, you know, depending on how you print them, it'll look more realistic or not. You know, if you use tea paper or parchment printing paper, it'll probably look better. But there used to be a full-size preview, and I don't know what happened to it. But anyway, it basically each page has the full spell text down here with some symbols in the middle, and then all of this is in some runic, you know, looking language. So it definitely looks like could be a spell, book of some kind, right, or scroll. And yeah, I think it's fun, inexpensive to get these, and you can use them as handouts, you know, especially for visual players. It's or, you know, hands-on players. This will be really fun option for them. And it's under Spell Scrolls in the links below, so give it a click. Next, we've got the Spell Guard. It's a Wizard Arcane tradition, and it's 10 pages from Carl Terrence Randall for $1.50. A unique wizard arcane tradition for use in the Forgotten Realms or any setting. The Spellguard have a long history in the north. Once the mystical guardians of Silvery Moon and the Silver Marches, they now traverse the Sword Coast trying to restore the reputation of Silvery Moon. Although no longer tied directly to Silvery Moon, they still draw their strength from the ancient mythal that resides within the Gem of the North. And you get to see all the pages, so you can really have a good look at this and decide if it's going to work for you. You've got the information on the background, all the little table with all the different things that you get as you go, and creating spell slots and all the abilities. Yeah, so let's look at a little bit of the abilities here. So mythal energy. So you're connected to the mythal of Silvery Moon. The Spellguard at second level develops a wellspring of mythal energy within themselves. This energy is represented by the mythal energy points, which allows the Spellguard to create a variety of magical effects. The Spellguard starts with 2 mythal energy points, and they gain more as they reach higher levels, as shown in the mythal energy points column of the Spellguard table. So that's up here. And then you can transform mythal energy points into 1 spell slot as a bonus action. And the creating spell slots table shows how you do that. And then mythal warding, second level, the Spellguard's link with the mythal protects them from harm. When the Spellguard is hit by an attack or they fail a saving throw, they can use a reaction to gain a +3 bonus to their AC against that attack, or a +3 bonus to that saving throw. You can use the feature a number of times equal to your int modifier, and you regain all expended uses of it when you finish a long rest. And then at 6th level, you learn to invoke the magic of the mythal to manipulate their spells to suit their need. The Spellguard gains 2 of the following meta magic options of their choice. They gain another one at 14th level. So there's something called a careful spell, and then something called an empowered spell. For the careful spell, when the Spellguard casts a spell that forces other creatures to make a saving throw, they can protect some of the creatures from the spell's full force. To do so, the Spellguard spends 1 mythal energy point and chooses a number of those creatures up to their intelligence modifier. And then that creature automatically succeeds. Empowered spell, when the Spellguard rolls damage for a spell, they can spend 1 mythal energy point to reroll a number of damage dice up to their intelligence modifier, and they must use the new rolls. Spellguard can use an empowered spell even if they already have used a different metamagic option during the casting of the spell. So, and then they have Quicken, Seeking, Subtle, Transmuted, all kinds of stuff. And I'm not going to read everything because I want you to come check it out and see how cool this is. And, see if it's going to work for you. I suspect it will, even outside the Forgotten Realms, because it's got, this fun mythal point structure, some meta magic going on a wizard. I think it looks like a good time. So check it out under Spellguard in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Utility Tattoos by Benedict Hall, magical utility tattoos. And it's 50 cents for 4 pages. It says a collection of 18 tattoos based on utility spells and magic items that bring more accessible magical powers to the high magic games. From the Artisan's Tattoo, which gives access to the Mending Cantrip and summonable set of tools, to the Tattoo of the Moonlit Performer, which gives access to light and dancing lights, and a limited casting of fairy fire, to the Tattoo of Useful Items, which functions in a similar manner to the robe of the same name, and many more. So let's look inside. You can see 2 of the pages. It says, to avoid repetition, all tattoos have the following ability in addition to those outlined in their entries. And it talks about how you attune to your tattoo. And then here's some of the different ones. So we'll read the Hunter's Tattoo. It's a wondrous item, uncommon, produced by a special needle. This magic tattoo features of tools of the hunter, including a bow, snares, and baited traps. Campfire Spark. While this tattoo is on your skin, you know the Druidcraft cantrip, Way of the Wild. Whilst attuned to this tattoo, you are able to cast the Animal Friendship and Hunter's Mark spells once each. You regain this feature after completing a long rest. Pyromancer's Tattoo. Produced by a special needle, this magic tattoo features swirling flames and dancing figures. While this tattoo is on your skin, you know the Control Flames cantrip. You are also able to cast Create Bonfire a number of times equal to your proficiency modifier. You regain these uses after you finish a long rest. at 1 with fire. Whilst attuned to this tattoo, as a reaction, you may gain resistance to fire damage until the start of your next turn. You regain this use after completing a short rest. So just a few of the tattoos. They seem like they could be really interesting options for your players. Or if you're a player, you could maybe suggest this to your DM. And you can read about a few more too by clicking the link under utility tattoos in the links below and checking it out further. Well, that's our last title for the week. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment, share the video with others so we can get the word out there for all these awesome creators. Be sure to click all those links down below and get to know these creators' books even further. Hopefully buy some of those. But if you purchase these or anything after you click the links, it's going to help the channel a little bit without affiliate fee. And if you're feeling super generous today, we have a list of books from Splinterverse Media down there, and you can buy any of those. We've got tons of Feywild stuff and Feywild Companion, dragon stuff and Fizzbands, Vault of Draconic Secret, a new race and Secrets of the Draugr, potions galore and potions unlocked, and then of course we have lineages and Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, all waiting for you to explore. A variety of price points, everything from $2.99 all the way up to $14.95. So check out those price points. There's got to be something in there that works for you. And please follow me on Twitter at Splinterverse, because we got so much stuff that's coming that I can't wait to talk about this year. And I want you to be the first to find out. So if you follow me on Twitter, that's one of the first places I will be announcing as things get ready for the first Kickstarter and all the other cool things we've got up our sleeves for you. So make sure you stay tuned. And until next time, happy adventuring.